Tonight on News 5 Live, the Prime Minister gives his views on legalizing and controlling marijuana, brazen robberies at a Belize City hotel and hospital, and a body found in San Ignacio near the river. Details of these stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime, while with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere. satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
If you have a baby on the way, here is what you need to know about maternity benefit. It includes both an allowance for 14 weeks and a grant, which is a lump sum of $300. The basic requirements are: you must be employed, you must have at least 50 paid contributions, and you must have continuous contributions leading up to delivery. To apply, a licensed doctor certifies the expected date of delivery. The employer completes the salaries record. Submit your completed claim form as soon as possible. After giving birth, submit your continuation claim no later than 3 weeks after delivery. If the mother does not qualify, the father of the child may qualify for the maternity grant. Want to know more about maternity benefit or grant? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Introducing Edam A cheese, the A+ Dutch cheese to hit the Belizean market. As the name says, it is of A-class quality, the best Dutch cheese in Belize. Edam A cheese is creamier, less salty, and simply more delicious. Don't be left out. Get your A cheese at a supermarket near you. A cheese, exclusively distributed by Unitex Company Limited. Call us at 610-3626 or 610-8910. Follow us on Facebook at Unitex Belize.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Monday, July 5th. I am Brighton Codd. There was a brazen robbery in Belize City when two men held up the Best Western Belize Biltmore Plaza just before midday today. Reports to News 5 are that the men arrived at the establishment in a black SUV, held up several people at gunpoint, stealing over $10,000 in cash, then drove off. News 5 understands that police are following several leads and asking the public for information. The hotel administration declined to comment. There is no evidence to suggest that they are related, but over the weekend, two armed robbers also targeted the Belize Healthcare Partners, taking cell phones and an undisclosed amount of cash. Police say it was a crime of opportunity, not necessarily a reflection of hard economic times. So far, they have not made any connection between this incident and the robbery at the Biltmore.
So far, the security on duty at the Healthcare Partners relayed that he was relieved of his cell phone and his wallet by two armed men that arrived at the hospital in a red in color SUV. The persons then proceeded also to rob the on-duty cashier of an undisclosed amount of cash, and then they walked out the building into the vehicle that dropped them off, and they made good their escape. Crimes happen when the opportunity arises. For us to categorize it and say that times are contributing to it, no matter what the times are, if it's good or bad, criminals are always out there generating their own crime. So for us to marginalize this and say that it contributes to time it's unfair to answer that question.
When contacted by News 5, Belize healthcare partners declined to comment on the robbery. It was the buzz this weekend as people joined the discussion on the new marijuana businesses being proposed. The churches, by and large, maintain unwavering positions in the ongoing marijuana discussion, saying no to decriminalization and certainly no to legalization of possession and trade. But the government of the day has a very different perspective, saying it is time to begin the process of introducing cannabis as a viable homegrown product on the local market. Since assuming office as Minister of New Growth Industries in November 2020, Kareem Musa has been at the forefront of that discussion. On Friday, he tabled an amendment to the Misuse of Drugs Act, which will establish licensing, registration, and operational requirements for the cultivation, processing, distribution, and delivery of cannabis products for adult use. Today, News 5 spoke with Prime Minister John Briceño at an event in the Cayo district. He reiterated that even prior to forming government last year, the People's United Party has been looking at ways to decriminalize and capitalize on it.
First of all, it's important to point out that the PUP's position, even before, from when they were talking about decriminalizing marijuana, we said that it was time to look at of legalizing it. Decriminalizing it is just not enough, because okay, you can have 10 grams at home, but how are you going to get it? I mean, and by doing that, then it could create even bigger problems, because then you hear gang members and the criminal minds are fighting for turf and fighting for markets, and it can get very deadly. We've seen it in the news. So the next step to be able to control that can only be by legalizing it, but legalizing it under strict conditions to ensure that the criminals do not take over, to ensure that not only the quote-unquote big players get involved, but even the small people that can also have an opportunity. Now, we do recognize that we just can't have marijuana plants all over the country, or else we'll have no control. And that is something that the Ministry of New Growth Industries are working very hard at, as to how best we could control it, and yet at the same time allow the small people to, to have maybe even for their own personal consumption. So we're working on that. There's no easy answers, there's no easy fix, but we have to make sure that, one, that the criminals do not control it. Secondly, that it's tightly regulated to ensure that young people or underage persons do not have access to it. Thirdly, that if we're going down that road, that we can tax it and tax it heavily, so that then that monies can be used for health, for education, and for creating opportunities for Belizeans. It's not easy. It's a balancing act that we have to do, that we have to work on. We have to ensure also that we know that there are people that feel very strongly against marijuana, and especially the churches, and we respect their position. But when you look at the actual science, the data, you see that alcohol is even more dangerous than marijuana. But what has happened is that we have this stigma against marijuana, and the best way we can control it is by legalizing it and put strict laws that can monitor it and restrict the use of marijuana to just the people that can legally use it.
On Friday, we told you about the Misuse of Drugs Amendment Bill that was introduced in the House. The bill seeks to establish licensing, registration, and operational requirements for the cultivation, processing, distribution, and delivery that is, of cannabis products for adult use in Belize. As a part of its provision, it will also seek to expunge marijuana possession records. And one member of the opposition who supports the bill is the leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow. He applauds GOB on what he calls a bold step, but says he hopes to see small players benefit from this trade.
This is one of the times that I agree with the government. I applaud the government for taking such a bold step towards removing the criminality of cannabis consumption and cannabis trade, which has the criminalization of cannabis has impacted the poor and lower class for generations. So I applaud the government, Minister Karim Musa, for taking such a bold step that will not only reverse generations of discrimination and classism, but also help to boost our economy because the economic ramifications of the legalization of cannabis are tremendous. I just hope that I've looked at the legislation and I will discuss it. I sit on the House Committee for National Security and Border, and I will certainly raise to my colleagues the fact that we want to make sure that this is not, there's no exclusion in this legislation. We have to make sure that those lower class working people who have had to engage in the marijuana trade in order to survive are not boxed out by the big men, by the rich, wealthy, and powerful. So there has to be provisions to ensure, because I already saw something in the legislation that says they have to do a background check and they have to do a Interpol check.
As we mentioned on Friday, Minister of New Growth Industries Karim Musa says that they have the Industrial Hemp and Cannabis Control Commission, which will have a rep for the small-scale players and help to ensure fair play in this newly regulated industry for Belize. COVID numbers are once again spiraling out of control, and the Briceño administration is implementing stringent public health measures to stem the spread of the virus in other parts of the country. In the Toledo district, the lockdown of 3 villages, including Barranco, Midway, and Conejo, has come into effect and will remain in place for a period of 2 weeks. The move has become necessary since the number of infections in those communities has ballooned. Across the country, the curfew hours have also been readjusted, extending the restriction of movement by an hour. But will these recent actions on the part of the Ministry of Health and Wellness prove effective?
I have been saying it over and over that, that the only way we can move this country forward, the only way we can open up is that if we control the COVID spread. It is unfortunate that Belizeans have not been listening when we're telling them, you know, social distance, keep your mask, wash your hands. You know, we got lax, we got careless, and people are going out in the clubs and behaving as if COVID has disappeared, and also even in the churches. Unfortunately, the spread that we're seeing right now, according to the officials at the Ministry of Health, they're coming from those small churches where they pack people in, and then, you know, and that is where they spread. In Orange Walk, that's what happened in Child Farm. It came from a church, and the same thing happened down south. The only way we can control COVID is, one, if we are careful, we keep to social distancing, wearing a mask, wash your hands, and get vaccinated. It is important that everyone gets vaccinated. We have to move decisively and make sure that we can stop the spread. That is why on Friday the Minister of Health announced that we have to lock down a section of the Toledo district. I think it's Barranco, Midway, and one other village, Conejo, yes. And lock them down, but we just can't lock them down and forget about them. We're going to be giving them food and a small stipend to be able to try to keep them there so that they don't come out and spread. In Orange Walk, it's not as acute as it's there, but it's still spreading. That is why the ministry has advised now that we're putting new curfew hours, and now curfew starts at 10 o'clock, and on the weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it starts at 11 o'clock.
Today, the Belize City Magistrates Court was closed down and will remain so for a week after positive COVID-19 cases were discovered among the staff. Before it was even tabled in the House of Representatives on Friday, the 11th Amendment bill was controversial. It seeks to provide additional grounds for the disqualification of an individual as a member of the National Assembly. The proposed piece of legislation has been described as ambiguous by former Prime Minister Dean Barrow in other quarters of the media. Himself a seasoned lawyer, Barrow says that the amendment, quote, is an act of war against marginalized people, unquote. His son, opposition leader Shine Barrow, who served time in the United States after being convicted of a shooting of a woman inside a nightclub, has also come out strongly against the revised legislation. The Mesopotamia area representative criticizes the 11th Amendment as a means of barring him from running for public office in a subsequent general election. He also argues that the new law will disqualify any other offender who has served even a one-year sentence but has since reformed. This morning, Prime Minister John Bresenia responded to the criticism over the bill.
There's nothing poor about the leader of the opposition. And yes, he worked hard and he had talent and he did well, but he is not poor. And when he's talking about this is about attacking marginalized people or cutting them off from being a part of the political process, if he were to look closely, he will realize that that is already in the law, it's already in the Constitution. What the framers of this amendment are attempting to do, they're saying, well, it's not fair if you were to commit a crime in Belize and then you cannot serve in the National Assembly, but you could commit a crime outside of Belize and then come back and commit a crime. And then you commit a crime outside of Belize and then you can come here and run for the National Assembly. It's not fair. We need to have fairness in the system. But probably even most important, we are looking at this from the lens of a person, in the instance, the leader of the opposition. This is a part of the good governance agenda. In the good governance agenda, basically we're saying here that if you are found to have committed a corrupt act in government and found guilty, then it means that you cannot run again to serve the people of this country. And to me, that is what is most important, that we're strengthening the issue of accountability, transparency, and strengthening our actions that we can take against corruption in public life.
The Belize City branch of the Belize National Teachers Union issued an update to its membership today, informing them that the virtual court hearing on the claim filed about the 10% salary cut is scheduled for July 16th. The release also noted that the union will be collaborating with the Ministry of Health to conduct a health fair on the COVID-19 vaccine. Also, according to the release, the Ministry of Education has presented teachers with 3 options to work 5 hours less each week. The first option is to reduce each workday by 1 hour. The second option is to utilize a 4-day work week and a blended learning approach. The third and final option is to utilize a half-hour earlier dismissal from Monday to Thursday and half-day off on Fridays. The release also noted that the BNTU will be selling essential food items from its headquarters at a lower price. The letter is signed by the president of the Belize City branch, Tanya Flores-Gillett, and dated today, July 5th. After the break, the partially nude body of a man is discovered on the riverbank in San Ignacio. Foul play is suspected. We'll have the sketchy details of that and other crimes from over the weekend.
DG and the National Bank of Belize are proud to partner with the Government of Belize to facilitate the disbursement of Belize COVID-19 cash transfer funds via our safe and easy-to-use mobile pays platform. After getting approval that you will be a beneficiary of the relief funds, you will be informed by SMS when your monthly payment has been deposited to your mobile pays account, which Digistore or National Bank branch you were assigned to, and when you can go in to collect. You must bring along the phone that the notification was sent to in order to present your account number and to receive your validation code and SMS receipt. You must also bring along a valid Social Security card. After your information is verified, you will receive a validation code which you are to give to the agent. The agent will hand over the full amount of funds allotted to you for that month, and you will receive an SMS receipt with a unique number for that transaction. Digi and the National Bank of Belize are committed to the development of innovative services for the benefit of all Belizeans.
Galenia Hospital, located in Cancun, Mexico's premier tourism destination, is a state-of-the-art healthcare facility that provides highly specialized medical services. We are Quintana Roo's biggest private hospital with board-certified doctors and staff. Some of our services include cath lab, adult intensive care unit, neonatal intensive care unit, emergency rooms, operating theaters, ambulance services, and more. We are a medically accredited hospital by JCI, Accreditation Canada International, and General Health Council, providing extraordinary care in every specialty, from our cardiology department to our neurology center. We are focused on treating the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. Contact us at medicaltourism@hospitalgalenia.com or visit our website at www.hospitalgalenia.com. Come to Galenia Hospital in Cancun for a truly personal medical care experience.
St. John's Credit Union.
Have you ever fallen delinquent on your loan payment? Don't know how to get back on track? Bounce back with St. John's Credit Union. Get 10 to 50% off interest and fee when you pay your arrears in full or make suitable payment arrangements on your account. Members who take advantage of this offer get a chance to enter a raffle to win fabulous prizes. Members are advised that this offer ends September 30th. Some conditions apply.
St. John's Credit Union Limited. Safe saving, smart borrowing.
That's the sound of fuel efficiency. Every day, every time, I choose Una Fuels powered with Dynamix. Una, a brand committed with the future.
Up to news time tonight, details remain sparse after a body found this morning on the riverbank in San Ignacio. The deceased was clad only in a shirt. Reports are that his face had been bashed in, but that has not been confirmed by police. What is known is that there were multiple injuries to the face and body, and the authorities also retrieved a piece of log from the scene. News 5 has also received reports there were gunshot wounds. The deceased, however, remains a John Doe at this time. News 5 will continue to follow this story. The Belize Police Department is mourning the loss of one of their own over the weekend. Corporal Jose Blanco reported for duty to the Caribbean Shores Police Station just after midnight on Sunday morning, but was found dead a few hours later. It is known that he had diabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension, but there was speculation that his passing might be related to a COVID-19 vaccination. ASP Yearwood spoke about what happened at the police station and why he feels it is premature to comment on the cause of the death.
First of all, I'd like to express our sympathies to the family of Jose Blanco, also known as Jose Correa, Corporal of Police. It's unfortunate that he was found motionless by one of his colleagues at the station where he was posted and working. According to his colleague, he went to the bathroom sometime around 4:30 a.m. And when she realized that he was in there for a while and was not responding to her calls, she got assistance from their main station at Precinct 4, where the officers had to pry open the door and they found him motionless. He was transported to the KHMH where he was pronounced dead at around 7:30 a.m. thereabout. To be very honest, I do not know that they give you a vaccine on a Sunday or Saturday. So that would just be a rumor, because he reported for duty Sunday morning, which would be a little after midnight. So for us, I don't want to class it with the vaccine. It wouldn't be fair. We have to wait for the results of a post-mortem.
And while the department is looking into Corporal Blanca's death, members of the media asked what efforts are being made by the police department to keep officers healthy like other security forces.
You touched on Coast Guard, BDF. They are not out here patrolling the streets daily. They are not out here doing investigations daily. So they have more leisure time to work out. We recently obtained a gym that we believe the officers should utilize. At the same time, we cannot mandate or force anyone to go to a gym because, of course, even the gym have a fee. And if they're already complaining about the expenses without a gym fee, you could imagine the kind of problems we would face forcing or mandating that officers must attend the gym and pay, for argument's sake, $20 per month. Like I said, the department, yes, you are very right in saying that many officers have underlying condition. I didn't come into this department suffering from anything. Of course, I joined at a very young age, and some 25 years later, I do have underlying condition, and it could be attributed to a whole lot of stuff other than just the way you eat and so forth. It could be hereditary, for argument's sake. But for us to generalize it, it would be unfair again to the Commissioner of Police. He has made his best effort to secure a gym that they can actually go in there for an hour a day if they want to, half hour if they want to, and it's always open. We actually have a professional that runs the gym. If you notice, and I'm very sad to say this because I don't support these institutions, but if you pass on Freetown Road in the afternoon time, not only police officers, but a whole lot of other Belizean people at work actually have lines waiting to go and buy these unhealthy, so to speak, food. And it is sad that these people cannot go home at lunch for a healthy home-cooked meal.
38-year-old Mayflower Street resident Jervis Valencia has not been cooperating with police after he was shot in the jaw in an alleyway off Bannock Street last week. The person police detained for the shooting was later released. According to ASP Fitzroy Yearwood, Valencia checked himself out of the KHMH this morning.
Recently, just before coming in here, I received information that he self-discharged from the Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital. I have officers on their way to verify whether or not this is so. But we know that we haven't made any arrests so far into that investigation. The persons that were detained, of course, after their time expired, they had to be released by investigators. But if needs be, they will be detained again, and we will see where that goes when we get an actual update on his condition and whereabouts.
After the break, the Governor General gets a salary increase and benefits package, and the Briceño administration moves to make starting a business a little bit easier. But first, here is a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
This COVID update is brought to you by Belize Medical Associates. This COVID update was brought to you by Belize Medical Associates.
In exercise of the power conferred upon it by Section 7 of the Electricity Act, Chapter 221 of the Laws of Belize, and with the approval of the Minister, the Public Utilities Commission PUC, the Commission hereby notifies the general public that it intends to enact a bylaw in relation to electricity procurement and power purchase. The bylaw shall govern the procurement processes for wholesale, distributed energy resources, and short-term power purchases by addressing the roles of the Commission and the utilities. The bylaw seeks to secure public welfare, national security, and services at the best value for money. Further clarify the exercise by the Commission of its duties under the Public Utilities Commission Act and Electricity Act. Provide for increased conservation and efficiency of electricity resources by utilities and equitable retail rates for consumers, and detail the RFP and PPA processes. Regulatory tools to achieve the Commission's public interest mandate of setting tariffs for the provision of electricity service to the public. Members of the public are invited to give their comments by email info@puc.bz or post by 17 July 2021. The draft bylaw may be viewed in its entirety at the offices of the Commission at 41 Gabriel Lane, Belize City, or on the PUC website at www.puc.bz.
Try it first.
Having an evacuation route is crucial to your family's safety. Be sure to contact the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, to locate the shelter nearest you. Identify the safest route to get there and leave early. Check if your local shelters allow animals and family pets, and make arrangements ahead of time if they do not. RF&G Insurance Company Limited, where it pays to get it right.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 believes on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
Should the Governor General be held to a term of 5 years, similarly to what is being proposed in the 10th Amendment for the constitutional appointments? That's what opposition member Tracy Panton says should happen. But in Section 2A of the Amendment Bill for the GG's Condition of Service Act, that is, this administration wants the term to be 7 years. Here's Panton's take and the PM's response at Friday's House meeting.
Perplexed, if you will, Madam Speaker, that in the case of the Governor General, who is a constitutional office holder, we can define a term of 7 years, and I can only assume that we wish to have some continuity at the end of a parliamentary term to the other. But in the case of the other constitutional appointed offices or bodies in which the 10th Amendment Bill, and we'll get a time to debate that, but I just want to draw the comparison that where it relates to the Election and Boundaries Commission and where it relates to the Public Service Commission and the Belize Advisory Council, that same kind of institutional memory is not seemingly required. And we want to amend the Constitution to only allow for a period of the term of the government. And it seems to me rather hypocritical, Madam Speaker, that we would seek to have different terms and conditions for very serious constitutional appointed bodies and offices held by the government administration. If we want to look at a 5-year term, I think it should apply across the board, Madam Speaker. And if we want to consider a 7-year term, it should also be across the board.
I really believe that this Governor General is at a different level than any other appointment in the country. The Governor General is a representative of the head of the Queen, or the ceremonial, he or she, in this case she is a ceremonial head of this country. And we felt that it is best for this appointment to go into the next term, and then the new government will have enough time to be able to decide who could be another suitable Governor General. The position of the Governor General is one that is above politics. The Minita Gordon, Sir Colville Young, they serve with distinction. Sir Colville Young was an NAP supporter and a UDP supporter. He wrote songs for the UDP, but once he was appointed as Governor General, he left his politics outside and he served with distinction. So I am asking the member from Albert to also to give that opportunity to the next Governor General, so now that in this case that she can serve in distinction right now and then go on into the next term and give the new government a chance to take their time and to find another suitable Governor General.
At Friday's House meeting, the resolution was passed to amend the schedule of the Governor General's Conditions of Service Act to increase the GG's salary from a little over $50,000 to $75,000 annually. It also makes provisions for duty allowances to be increased from $2,000 to $12,000 per year. PM Briceño announced health insurance will be added as well as a pension package, retroactive to include Sir Colville Young.
Made a point that that our Governor General is probably the second lowest paid Governor General, and we have to treat our Governor Generals with more respect and with more dignity. And I said then, and this bill is doing what we mentioned at the last House meeting, that we want to increase the salary of the Governor General, and by increasing the Governor, we're also talking about providing health insurance. Imagine the past Governor General, Sir Colville Young, has no health insurance for him and his wife. And his wife now is very ill in bed. And now today, with the support of the government, we are providing assistance to the Governor General in taking care of his wife. It's just a decent thing to do. If he would have had health insurance, that would not have been necessary. So with these amendments, we'll be including the health insurance coverage, and also, as I mentioned, the increase in salary, and also an improvement in the pension of the Governor General. And when it comes to the pension, we're doing it retroactively. We're not going to behave like the previous UDP as what they did to Minita Gordon when they just threw her out on the street. We are doing it retroactively so that then the previous Governor General, Sir Colville Young, who served us well and with distinction, that he will also be covered by the pension. So his pension is going to be increased by when we pass this bill, and I'll be asking all members in the House, also the members of the opposition, to support us in the amendment of this bill.
On Friday, a number of bills were introduced that seek to encourage a more business-friendly climate in Belize. One of these amends the Companies Act by removing fees for certifying documents and streamlining the process. PM Brisenia says this bill will make it easier to start a business in Belize.
It seeks to allow certain fees that are being imposed, to be imposed by order and published by the Gazette. In short, Madam Speaker, as a nation, we are ranked 166 out of 190 countries in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index for starting a business. I mean, we're really in bad shape, at 166. But we need to fix it. And that's exactly what we are attempting to do here today. Again, for example, according to the World Bank, the average cost of starting a business is estimated around 34% of per capita income. Now, the cost in Belize of forming a company to start your business could be as much as $584. And that $584 is, okay, it's bad enough that it's high, but it's not only that you're just going to pay $584, but it comprises of 4 different fees. So you have to make 4 different payments to be able to register your company. Making it easier to do business in Belize, Madam Speaker, and making it easier, it means that we have to make things simpler, cheaper, and more efficient. So this bill proposes to reduce the cost of forming a company by almost 50%, and instead of making 4 different fees, we're proposing to have one fee of $300 to make it easier and cheaper, especially for the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, or what we refer to as the MSMEs, to start a business in Belize.
The bill has Cabinet's approval and has been referred to the Finance and Economic Development Committee. Among the complaints raised by public officers facing salary cuts and increment freezes is that GOB is not doing enough to come down on tax evasion. On Friday, a bill was introduced to amend the Tax Administration and Procedure Act. It would allow the government to publish the names of tax defaulters and make provisions for prosecution. Brisenia says that with the help of a tax recovery unit, They will go after businesses and individuals to collect outstanding taxes because more than $500 million remain unpaid.
Unfortunately, non-compliance with tax laws remain rampant. It is estimated that on average anywhere between 20 and 25% of registered taxpayers countrywide fail to file tax returns every year. More significantly, tax arrears continue to accumulate. As of the end of May, just 2 months ago, the cumulative business tax, actually 1 month ago, the cumulative business tax, GST and the PAYE income tax outstanding is approximately $645 million, including the penalties and interest. Let me repeat, $645 million. And as time goes by, as with the past, millions of these tax arrears become exposed to being statute barred. To say it plain, it means that government will not be able to collect these taxes. And this is what I'm going to get Belizeans very, very upset. Of this $645 million owed, Madam Speaker, 80%, or over $500 million, over $500 million of these tax arrears, in effect, it's $530 million, is already more than 5 years old. Pretty much you could say most of this $530 million will not be able to be collected because it will become statute barred.
Just now you heard the Prime Minister discuss the 3 primary unpaid taxes that collectors will be going after, but added to these are people who owe back taxes on their land. According to Briceño, GOB will confiscate land if necessary.
As the Minister have said, the Honourable Member from Lake Independence, that there's tens of millions of dollars of land tax arrears. And under the tax recovery unit, we are going to pursue the recovery of these taxes because we recognize that land tax represents a first lien on the relevant tax. And if it is not paid, then such land may be sold for recovery of outstanding taxes. And the Minister just pointed out to me that land tax are not like the other one where the statute barred at 6 years, but it is 12 years. So we have more time in going after these owners of land that have not been paying their taxes. And from our end, it is easy to settle when it comes to land tax, because if you don't want to pay the tax, give with the land so that we can pass this land in the hands of the Belizean people, Madam Speaker. So we're calling out on these huge landowners, and many of them don't even live in Belize. Probably don't even know this land in Belize. And we're going to tell them, pay your taxes, or else we're going to use those, what you owe, to get back some of that land.
The Ministry of Infrastructure Development will be executing a scaled-down roadworks project on the Caracol Road. According to Minister Julius Espat, his ministry has deferred Phase 2 of the project, but after they did a review of the plans in place, they were able to recuperate $28 million in savings. He says they are now using that money to execute a reduced version of much-needed road upgrades.
Therefore, Madam Speaker, a comprehensive design review of those portions of the Caracol Road project that were not under construction, meaning Lot 1C, and 3 lots under Phase 2 was done. This resulted in substantial cost savings. combined with a renegotiated supervision consultancy, a total savings, Madam Speaker, of approximately $28 million was achieved, a portion which is reflected in this contract Lot 1C. The Caracol Upgrading Project, Section 1C, is approximately 7 kilometers, which is approximately 4.3 miles. With no objection from the funding agency, the government of Belize signed a contract for the Caracol Road Upgrading Project with Belize Roadway Construction, Section 1C, in the amount of Belize $12,152.27. It is anticipated that works will commence immediately.
The second contract that has been signed is the Philip Golson Highway and Remate Bypass Upgrade Project in May of this year. Contracts have been awarded to Tycrobe & Sons Limited for $30 million, while Cisco Construction Limited was awarded a contract for over $56 million. Just ahead, new jobs in the Cayo district as Progreso Cement launches its latest factory. The event this morning when we return.
What is climate change? Climate change, or global warming, as defined by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, is said to be the process of our planet heating up. The Earth has warmed by an average of 1 degree Celsius in the last century, and although that might not sound like much, it means big things for humans and wildlife around the globe. Rising temperatures is making our weather more extreme and unpredictable. Some impacts of climate change in Belize are flooding, drought, unstable weather patterns, and changes in seasons that affect agriculture, human, and wildlife activities. What is REDD+? REDD+ is a mitigation activity to reduce carbon emissions and increase carbon stock in the forest sector. The name REDD+ stands for Reducing Emission from Deforestation and Forest Degradation, plus Conservation, Sustainable Management of Forest and Carbon Stock Enhancement. How can REDD+ be a solution? Trees breathe the greenhouse gases we produce. We can start caring more for our forests by planting more trees and keeping our landscapes intact. Our forests are part of the solution. Also, by encouraging the adoption of sustainable forest management in Belize, we can help restore forests that have been lost.
Forests are linked to all aspects of human well-being. Think about the clean air that forests provide, that oxygen that we breathe. If it wasn't so clean, especially during that fire season, we would actually be facing a lot of problems. So breathing clean air is something that we may take for granted, but it's actually something that forest provides and that contributes to our health and happiness. One of the advantages of doing things associated with REDD+ in Belize is that it actually is a great mechanism for us to be able to maintain forests while at the same time sustainably using them and keeping all the services and goods that the forest provides to us intact, for example, water. At night, it's the trees and the plants in the forest that actually release that water that goes up in the atmosphere and eventually comes back as rain. If we don't have forests, that water is gone. If we think about our food security and the food that we eat, the agriculture industry and how important it is for Belize, we don't necessarily associate it sometimes with actual forests. But it's those forests that actually feed the soil organisms that cycle the nutrients and make our soils fertile. It's those forests that are a house and home for pollinators that pollinate our crops. And it's those forests that maintain the water that our agricultural areas need to thrive. Otherwise, we would be subject to things like droughts.
There is hope with REDD+.
"2020 taught us the importance of being connected to the virtual world, and NextGen is here to keep its commitment to you. Even if you're physically apart, NextGen keeps you digitally connected.
Okay everyone, thank you for following me today.
NextGen provides more than just an internet plan. They provide service plans that support all your online needs. Sign up today and get your NextGen's ultra high-speed internet service. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
For years, Cemento Progreso has been imported into Belize from neighboring Guatemala. The powder for concrete has been used extensively in the infrastructure development and housing construction of the country. Following a visit to Belize on the heels of the opening of Santander Sugar in Cayo District, however, the chief executive officer of the company decided to expand its operations by building a factory in Belize. That vision has become a reality, and earlier today, a host of government officials converged on the new facility for its grand opening. News 5's Isani Caetano reports.
A new manufacturing plant was inaugurated this morning, where government officials, including Prime Minister John Briceño, were on hand for the cutting of the ribbon. Cemento Progreso formally introduced its processing facility for the production of powder cement on the local and export markets. Speaking on behalf of the Guatemalan company, which has been in existence for over 121 years, is Chief Executive Officer Jose Raul Gonzalez Merlo.
This has been a dream, as we were discussing before, that took a few years to consolidate. But we are proudly now producing cement made in Belize by Belizean hands. For us, it was very important to consolidate the presence of Progreso in Guatemala and for Belize to have a strategic source of a product that means development, that means progress, and that is very important for the infrastructure of this country. It's been with more than $8 million investment, European technology that you will see, which meets all the environmental and quality standards that this country deserves. It was a few years ago when Mario and Fernando and I visited the then ministers at that time, and we were very pleased by the welcoming of the authorities and the support that we received from them, even during the pandemic.
The addition of this factory is not only much needed foreign direct investment for the country, it also creates jobs for Belizeans.
As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of opportunities in Belize. The problem is that many people don't know about the opportunities, and so we have to ensure that use this example of this investment as an example so that other people from the rest of Central America can also come in and invest in Belize, because by investing in Belize we create opportunities, we create taxes, we collect taxes, we create jobs for people, and using Belize as a springboard to markets, for instance, like in CARICOM and other areas. So we're quite excited about this investment, and we are quite hopeful that it is something that will be able to create opportunities for Belize, help with our balance of payments. You know, we have a huge imbalance, and so we have to find any which way to be able to attract more investments in Belize to make things better for Belize. I mean, it goes in line with what we've been saying in Plan Belize. We just need to take into consideration the Ministry of Infrastructure Development does not necessarily use cement because they give the contracts. We're hoping that the cement is going to be cheaper and more easily available.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
A reef shark reportedly bit a tourist during a dive tour off the coast of Ambergris Key on Sunday. Reports from San Pedro are that the visitor was with Chuck and Robinson Tours, diving in an area known as Tackle Box. The shark is reported to have bitten his hand, ripping off flesh from his left palm and 2 of his fingers. He received stitches and unfortunately did not sustain any bone damage. While the company has declined to be interviewed, they have described the incident as an unfortunate and unexpected and insisted that they were not chumming the area to attract sharks at the time. Mar Alliance, a conservation NGO, has commented on the incident saying, quote, "Although there was apparently no provisioning conducted at the time of the dive and the incident, we have strongly suggested for a decade now that operators refrain from chumming at 4 reef dive sites nor spear lionfish in areas of regular shark visitation. This will minimize expectations and unwanted habituation from sharks and the possibility of unwanted interactions with divers," unquote. The victim is expected to make a full recovery. About 2 weeks ago, we showed you a group of angry fisher folk who wanted GOB to repeal Statutory Instrument 57 of 2021, which was gazetted back in May. According to the fishermen, they were only recently made aware that the Minister of Blue Economy, Andrew Perez, signed the new SI, which amended the fisheries regulation to reverse the ban on permanent residents to obtain commercial fishing licenses. With the adjustments to the Act, the permanent residency card is now accepted as a form of identification for the application process. Going forward, the regulations state that license will not be granted to an applicant unless the applicant is a Belizean by birth or naturalization or a permanent resident. During Friday's House meeting, area representative for the Albert Division, Tracy Panton, made an appeal on behalf of the local fisher folk, to which Minister Perez responded.
As you know, Madam Speaker, in the Albert constituency, we have 3 clusters of fisher folk, smaller communities. We have the fisher folk from the Pongshell Bay community. We have the fisher folk from the Yabra community. And we have the fisher folk from Albert Street and Regent Street West at the water side, just a little above Mike's Club. And while I fully recognize that we can't infringe on the rights of Belizean nationals and permanent residents, their right to work in the fishing industry, when the SI 57 of 2021 was enacted back in May, the fisher folk advised that there was no consultation or no advising of them to them that this SI would be brought into force. They also recognize, because we've had this conversation, that Belizeans have the right to work. But the reason permanent residents were excluded previously, because there was a great deal of illegal fishing being done by neighboring countries of Central America, Honduras and Guatemala in particular. And so the appeal member from Belize Rural South is for certainly greater surveillance, greater enforcement be done in terms of who is fishing in our Belizean waters. They have described to me that some key species are already endangered. I think the Nassau grouper, for example, was pointed out. And so that's my appeal on their behalf.
We have a responsibility to provide equal rights to those who are living here legally. And I think the fallacy that you are coming by pitching this presentation that you just made just now is that we're confusing giving license to permanent residents who have Belizean families, Belizean wives, Belizean husbands, Belizean children, confusing it or mixing it up with illegal fishing. This is not to be confused. Let's make that clear. Illegal fishing is occurring, that is true. More so in the southern areas by illegal fishing done by Central Americans. But we want to make it absolutely clear that we must not confuse. As per the records at the Fisheries Department, when the last administration arbitrarily, without any kind of consultation as well, just remember that as well, a member from Albert, no consultation, and because a rush and a mad dash for political expediency, you went ahead and declared it illegal at only Belizeans, because there was a mad rush as well to pass political legislation for the illegal gillnet ban, which is a good thing, but there was no consultation. It did not include, it was not inclusive. So with this SI, we are just fixing things. We are making things right. For the record, at the Fisheries Department, the last time, there were only 40 registered fisher folks who had permanent residency.
Just ahead, Kaya Katus gets back on the pre-pandemic competition circuit. But first, here's the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
We all know the importance of running water and proper drainage in your home. That's why we rely on a fully functional plumbing system. At Benny's, we have all the plumbing supplies and accessories you need. Our pipes, fittings, valves, and adapters are made from durable quality materials. Remember to wash your hands with clean running water from your faucet. We have kitchen and bathroom faucets in various styles and finishes. Whether for installation or maintenance, make sure to use recommended PVC cleaner, solvent, and Teflon tape to fix or prevent leaks. We also have the tools to get the job done. For all your residential, commercial, or industrial plumbing needs, shop at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Why should you wear your mask? To protect myself. My friends. My family and others. I wear my mask because I love my grandparents. With so many reasons to wear a mask, we continue to advise persons to wear a face mask properly, covering both nose and mouth. Together, we can keep Belize COVID-19 safe.
Why, Tony?
Boy, kid, what you going on, man?
I actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out to the last batch, must have been like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What is going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
I was 17 and in love, and I thought he loved me too. But now I know that a loving partner should not take away your choice of clothes you wear or the music you listen to. He should not take away your purse, car keys, or your phone so that when your family calls, you cannot answer. If your partner is controlling you, it is domestic violence. Call 0800 A Way Out or our cell phone number 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission in collaboration with Miss Universe Belize with funding from the Engender and Spotlight projects.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
Except for 2020, she has represented the country annually for the past 4 years in the Intelligentsia Cup in the US. And next week, cyclist Kaya Catus travels to Chicago to compete in the 10 days of cycling races. Dwayne Moody has more on Catus's determination and training during the pandemic.
Hers is one of the first names that come to mind when you speak of the top female cyclist in Belize. And Kaya Catus will be representing Belize abroad once more, heading to Chicago to compete in the Intelligentsia Cup. She first competed in the criterium back in 2018, then returned in 2019 where she placed several days. While the tournament was cancelled in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Kaya remained focused on her training.
Preparation for this race has definitely been a bit different due to the pandemic. It took us off the bike, off the roads, had us doing different types of training, compromising to catch up where you lacked. So I did a whole lot of gym work, a lot of running, to just maintain physical fitness so that when things were back to some sort of normalcy, getting back on the bike and getting into peak form wouldn't be so hard.
But a few months ago, the former cross-country female champion was caught in a spill and injured. She's still recovering, yet determined to compete on that international level.
We recently had the National Time Trial and Road Championships. The week before the Time Trial Championships, I was in a crash during one of our Thursday races, and I was injured. I had a torn ligament in my shoulder, and I got a couple stitches in my elbow. 2 days after that, I had to go out there and do the time trial in those conditions. Training and getting into very decent, great shape, and injury coming just before your event, it's not only mental, it's not only a mental challenge, it's also a physical challenge to be able to push your body through the pain and agony for the time. You know, so it was very difficult going into that race and even staying on the bike for the duration of the race. It was the same thing at the road races. You know, I raced with stitches in my elbow, and it took a lot of mental toughness to be able to get myself over those two hurdles.
Knowing that she was coming from a road racing background and going into criteriums, Kaya sought the assistance of former professional cyclist, now coach Bill Elliston. Some viewers may recall that Elliston won Belize's cross-country cycling classic back in 2005. He retired from full-time racing in 2008, and since then he has trained a number of international athletes and ran a cycling seminar in Belize in 2012. He spoke to News 5 about becoming Kaya's trainer.
She had some bigger aspirations to have a higher level of success than just racing in Belize. But you know, she was a rider that decided to take matters into her own hands, and so reached out to me to see if we could do a little something by way of coaching and maybe take a different approach and try and see a higher level of success. The terrain down there is certainly a little bit different, especially for a rider like Kaya living in the city when, you know, it's just everything's really pretty flat. And the only challenges you have are wind, lots of wind. I do have some familiarity with the roads down there. I have some familiarity with the riders down there. And I've seen Kaya race in person, maybe only a handful of times, but it's been enough for me to kind of get a grasp on her racing style and really what her strengths are and maybe what her weaknesses are. So having that knowledge plays a big part in me being able to craft a pretty successful program.
Going to race at the Intelligentsia Cup is a whole different style of racing from what we're used to here in Belize. And being there for the past couple of years has enabled me to get the experience that I need to know what type of training needs to be done. So the type of training that we do leading up to this race is not necessarily the type of training that you would do for races in Belize, but it's the type of training that you need to be able to excel over there.
Self-motivated, Kaya says that she has set a goal and plans to achieve it.
Going back to the Intelligentsia Cup this year, it's definitely, you know, I come with the confidence, I come with the experience. I feel like I have put in the training required. Yes, I was injured, but it's enough time in between the injury and the start of the race to be, you know, fully recovered and be able to not race with injury on your mind without pain. So I don't think it will be a factor for the 10 days of racing. I feel like we've prepared well enough, even despite of not being able to do what we needed in the pandemic. I think that we were freed up early enough to start the training that we needed to do. So I feel like I'm going over there prepared and ready.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5believe.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I am Brighton Cott. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.